Hello, and welcome to the WBAP 820 570 KLIF Weather Podcast. I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Barton at the Cumulus Media Center in DFW. Now, here in Texas, and I mean the entire state, we're getting not just a taste of summer, we're getting a big old slab of it, and probably for at least another week to 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, quite possibly longer. I'll be getting into that in just a minute. This is a 10-day weather model from the Global Forecast System. Now, this is a static image, and it really illustrates what we call a blocking pattern. We have a trough of low pressure just off the east coast, another trough of low pressure just off the west coast, and in between is a big high pressure ridge that just can't move. So let's go ahead and put it into motion now. You see, the trough on the east coast actually retrogrades back to the west a little bit, while several smaller troughs moving in on the Pacific coast just go up and over this big high pressure ridge, clearing up into Canada. And then we'll switch back to a static image here. So it shows this really big ridge of high pressure. Now, high pressure zone aloft, especially this time of year, pushes air down toward the Earth's surface. And dry air heats up at a rate of 3 degrees for each 1,000 feet. So this air is pushing down on top of us, compressing as it reaches the surface of the Earth, and it's warming up. And that's why temperatures are running well above normal. And now let's check out the surface map, because that's the second piece of this puzzle. Now, Tuesday morning, the winds will relax a bit, but just for a few hours, and then they'll pick up again during the afternoon. And notice we also have a minor cold front trying to dip into western Kansas. But by Wednesday morning, the cold front reverses course and goes back up into Nebraska as a warm front. And then by Thursday, that warm front is clear up into the Dakotas. So much for that Canadian front. Now, there is a Pacific front trying to come through. It's going to struggle, but it will probably make it in here maybe late in the weekend. But again, don't get your hopes up for much of a cool down anytime soon. So with high pressure aloft and strong south winds at the surface, we're going to be unseasonably warm for the next several days, with high temperatures running, about 15 degrees above our seasonal norm of, 81 for early May. We're going to be up into the mid-90s most of the time this week, and much of next as well. Now, on Friday morning, the main Pacific frontal boundary is still struggling to get across Texas, with a few isolated storms in West Texas, but probably nothing of any consequence in North Texas. A little bit of rain picking up Gulf moisture all the way from Louisiana clear on up into the Great Lakes, but again, that's a little too far east to do us any good. Same story on Saturday. That Pacific front is really struggling to move east. And finally, we hope, by Sunday morning, the Pacific front should make some progress into North Texas, but by the time it gets here, that front is going to be so compromised, so modified with warm air, it won't really make much difference in our temperatures. At best, I think we're going to be in this pattern for a couple of weeks and hope for some changes around maybe the third week of May. High of 93, Wednesday with a high of 92, Thursday still windy and warm with a high of 94, 93 on Friday, and probably at least lower 90s this weekend. Well, thanks again for joining us for the WBAP 820 570 KLIF Weather Podcast for Monday, May 9th. Be careful out there in the heat. I'm Brad Barton. We'll see you next week.